guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to be back filming for you guys today. If you are new here, my name is Jonna, aka heyjohnnanichelle, and I create content around faith, lifestyle, and just what I'm going through in life, you know? It is going to be an update video because it's been a couple months since I filmed. You can probably see I look, you know, a little different. Things have been changing and growing, so I'm gonna talk all about that, but this is just kind of a life update video. I'm gonna share some pregnancy updates, and also just some things that I feel God's speaking to me in this season that may resonate with y'all as well. Let's get into it. For those of y'all that don't know, I am very pregnant. I am 7 months pregnant. I think I am 7 months actually, like in 2 days or so. So we're officially in the 3rd trimester. So bear with me if I sound like I'm doing a lot of breathing heavily because, you know, things are just changing on the inside of me and there's a lot of pressures where there didn't used to be. So just gonna preface with that. But before we get into all things pregnancy and all things life in general, I just want to share something that actually very recently that God has put on my heart, and it's just been stirring me up in my spirit, and it's something that some of my friends have also been experiencing, and so I wanted to share it with you guys too. So obviously we are now in the second half of 2022. I feel like this year has just flown by. For me, around this time of year, I tend to just look back at the first half of the year, the goals that I set at the beginning of the year, and just kind of see where I'm at, and then think about what do I want the next half of this year to look like. At the beginning of this year, I had my mind set on producing a lot. I found out I was pregnant in the very beginning of the year, and so to me, I was thinking, oh my gosh, like by the end of this year, I'm gonna have a baby. That's obviously going to change everything. And so I just had my mind very set on everything that I wanted to accomplish before this baby came. Like all of the things I wanted to do in my business, all of the things I wanted to do in my personal life, and just kind of making sure I could just do as much as possible, because I knew that once I had my son, everything would change and I wouldn't have as much capacity for certain things as I do now. God has really been shifting that mindset out of me, and specifically he's been saying these 4 words to me that have just been playing over and over in my mind when I start to get caught up in the producing and I'm not doing enough and whatever else. And those 4 words are less doing, more dwelling. Less doing, more dwelling. I don't know who else may need to hear that today, but that's something that God has been saying to me, is that it's not about the doing for me, it's about the dwelling with me. And there's a scripture that really kind of brings that home that I wanted to share, from John 15:4, which says, "Abide in me and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me." Where the first kind of half of the year I was so set on producing and doing, and God, I want to be fruitful for you, he's really showing me that fruitfulness comes from a place of abiding, not from a place of doing. And that when I'm actually resting and when I'm just dwelling with him and being with him without trying to always do something for him, that's when I actually end up being the most fruitful, when I get the most creative ideas, when I really feel like those juices start to flow and those ideas, that fresh vision start to come to me. And so that's just something, as I'm kind of looking over this year and looking at the goals that I had set and looking at where I want to be going, that it just keeps coming back to me. And I hope, you know, if you're in a place where you feel really caught up in the doing, or maybe you're also kind of looking over the first half of your year and you're like, there's so much I didn't do, or I didn't reach that goal, or I didn't hit that milestone, I just want to encourage you, less doing, more dwelling. We don't always have to be doing something great. And a lot of times that actually comes from a place of insecurity. I know, at least for me, I have often felt like to be worthy, I must be producing something great. Any other recovering perfectionists can probably relate to that. I've been someone who has struggled with that my whole life. And so in this season, I'm really just focusing on dwelling, on just being with God, hearing Him speak, and moving from a place of that rest, of asking God, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to not do? Where do you want me to move? And where do you want me to just be still? So I really wanted to share that before getting into all of the other life updates. I really hope that encourages you. Okay. Now on to the life updates, because there are quite a few. I kind of separated life updates and pregnancy updates so that I can share about so many things that I'm navigating through my pregnancy, preparing for a home birth, all of these things that I want to talk with y'all about. So I'll start with the life stuff first. Last time I shared what was going on in our lives, I think we were just in the process of starting to look for a house to rent. We are still renting, but we wanted to move from an apartment into a house, and just something that could be that next step before we buy a house. At the end of April, we finally moved, and when I say thank God, it is truly thank God, because we did not sign the lease on the house that we are in currently until like 3 days before our lease was up. Like, it was so insane. And if you follow along on Instagram, I kind of shared the behind the scenes of that. But yeah, it was a process. Anybody who is looking for a house, whether it's to rent, whether it's to buy, like, you already know this market is wild. A lot of people are opting to rent because of how crazy the market is, which makes there more of a demand even in that area. There was just so much we were going through with that. Like, nothing was opening up. We would find places and it would seem like a door was starting to open and then shut. And it was just getting to the point where I was like, Lord, like, if you don't come through on this, I don't really know what we're gonna do. I mean, of course we could have continued staying in an apartment, but we really wanted to move out. Like, we used to live in more central Dallas area, a little bit north, but like pretty central Dallas. And I was just ready to move further out. Wanted to be somewhere where there was more young families with kids, things like that, especially as, you know, I'm bringing a child into the world. So we officially moved. God totally came through for us. We signed the lease without ever having walked in the house, because there were still renters living here until the day before we moved in. So literally couldn't come see the house, just had to trust God. We drove around the neighborhood and I was like, Lord, just give me a peace about this, if this is the place we're supposed to be, and had such a peace about it. I'm really excited. We are like 30-ish minutes north of Dallas in a suburb, and I just have been loving it. Like, I love our neighborhood. I love taking walks. Like, that was something where before I didn't really feel safe doing that. Not that we lived in like a bad area, but it's just different being in like a very big city to then being in like a suburb. You know what I mean? I'll have to do like a house tour. I haven't really like gotten everything together. We haven't gotten anything new for the house or anything like that, because I'm just more focused on, you know, making sure baby is good. But we are all settled in and just absolutely loving it. So that has been a big change. I also turned 29, which is wild. Like, what? But I turned 29 last month, celebrated my 29th birthday, and I've just had so many feelings about it. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, like I don't want to age, because I just think with age comes so many great things, so much wisdom and getting to hit new milestones in life. But I think what really hit me is like, this is my last year without a child. Like, this is my last birthday that I don't have a child. And so it kind of felt a little bit different. I don't know if any of y'all like have kids, maybe you know what I'm talking about, like that last birthday that you celebrated and you're like, wow, like this time next year, like by the time I turn 30, I will have, I'm really bad at math, I don't know, like an 8-month-old, a whole baby. Nevertheless, I'm really excited about it, just like grateful to God for bringing me through another year. I feel like this last year, there were so many things that I was praying for and so many desires of my heart, and I really feel like I'm standing in the promise right now. Like, I'm living in the fruit of that. Even the last time I shared with you all, I was talking about how I really wanted our in-person community to grow. I really wanted to create deep-rooted friendships here in the DFW, and God has just blown my mind with the people that he's brought into my life, surrounded by amazing friends, some of them who also live really close to where I've moved, which like they've moved as well, and we've all ended up being like 10-15 minutes from each other, which is only God. Only God. I reflect back and there's so many promises that I feel like God has been fulfilling. Obviously, this child being a huge one. I haven't really shared a lot about this, but there were so many doubts that I had and things that like I've dealt with in my body that made me kind of fearful around getting pregnant and what that process might look like. And just to see the fact that I'm 7 months pregnant and bringing my son into the world, I have an amazing support system of friends around me. We serve at an incredible church. Like, it just reminds me that God's timing is perfect and his promises, they always come through every single time. I also shared earlier this year that I had a goal of kind of getting into some cleaner products, kind of a cleaner lifestyle, and I will say I am making very small steps toward that. I have a long way to go, but have started, you know, swapping out products here and there and just trying to be cleaner, trying to have grace for myself as well and not overwhelm myself. But that has been something that's a journey in progress, and I can definitely share more about what that looks like. I am by no means a wellness expert or anything like that, but that is something that I've just been trying to incorporate to my life. So yeah, those are like the big, I would say, life things, you know, moving, establishing that community, turning another year older. Those are kind of the big things, and you know, obviously, hello, that are happening in life. Now I'll give y'all a little bit of insight into the pregnancy journey. I was like 14 or 15 weeks pregnant, I think, when I made the announcement, and now I'm 28 weeks pregnant, so a lot has changed and we're getting very, very close to that finish line. So first of all, one of the biggest topics of conversation when I'm talking about my pregnancy or questions that I get surrounding my pregnancy are around the fact that we are doing a home birth. People are just curious to know about what that journey has been like, why I chose to do a home birth, like what is this all about? Something that I'm actually pretty passionate about, and so I just want to share what that's looked like for us. But I will preface this by saying I am just sharing my journey. Every single woman, every single pregnancy, every mother's journey is so different. I don't share my journey and I don't share about, you know, why we're choosing to have a home birth because I think having a hospital birth is bad or that you shouldn't do it. I mean, there are so many circumstances, health circumstances, risk factors in pregnancy that play into the type of birth that ultimately you will have. Even me, you know, I'm planning a home birth, but things may not necessarily go that way at the end of the day. So I just want to preface this by saying I just am sharing my journey. I am not saying this to shame anyone or tell anyone that the way that they're doing something is wrong. You do what's best for you. That is like a motto that I live by. You do you, I'ma do me. We can all learn from each other. We can disagree in certain areas and it's fine. It is okay. With that being said, why are we choosing to have a home birth? If you know me personally, you already know having a home birth has actually been a desire of my heart for a really long time. So I have 3 little brothers and sisters. I mean, I have a plethora of blended family brothers and sisters, but my 3 youngest brothers and sisters were all home births, and the first was born when I was 16 or 17. I was born in the summer, which meant I was at my dad's. This is a sibling on my dad's side, and I got to be there through pretty much like the whole process leading up to as well as during her birth. I went to all of the birthing classes. I was up close and personal during her labor, during the entire birth, and then of course after as well. Ever since I got to see that experience and just be a part of such a beautiful, intimate, spiritual moment, I have known in my heart, like, I want that. That is something that I want for myself. So the first reason is it's just a desire of my heart. It always has been. And I think actually getting to go through the process and watch someone do it had a lot to play in that, because once I started going to those classes with them and started learning all about the birthing process and all of these things that I just had no idea about before, I started researching it. And if you know me, when I start to research something, like, there's no stopping me. I will just look up everything that I can on a subject and really just try to educate myself as much as possible. And so that started when I was like 16, 17, and I'm 28. So this has been like 10 years in the making of me looking into this and finding out the facts and just everything surrounding birth that I can. And I still consider myself not an expert by any means. So again, just sharing my journey. Aside from it being something that I've just genuinely desired, there's also a level of care that I have received with my midwife and the team, the entire staff at the birthing center that we're utilizing. I mean, we're having a home birth, but like all of my appointments and the actual facility is through a birthing center with a team of midwives and staff. And there's just this level of attentiveness and individualized care that I really appreciate. And I'm not someone who has like had a hospital birth and is now having a home birth. So when it comes to like the level of care and comparing, I really can't weigh in too much from my own personal experience. I can only speak from things that friends have told me and other moms that have gone through a different journey than I have kind of share with me. But just having somebody who, you know, every single appointment, I never feel rushed. I always feel like they're listening to me. They're asking me about my mental health. They're just taking that time, giving me the space to ask a million questions, never making me feel burdensome for doing that. Really just is important to me. It's important for me to feel heard. It's important for me to feel like my concerns or my fears or my anxieties are valid. You know, I'm a first-time mom. I have never gone through this. I have a ton of questions, and things that are running through my head, and just having a team of midwives that are there for me. They listen to me and they just kind of hold my hand and walk me and my husband through the process is just such a game changer. And also, I don't know if this is common knowledge, but in a lot of other developed countries, midwifery care is the standard. It's really the US where we kind of see childbirth as this medical emergency as opposed to a natural occurrence of the body. While it's a little bit less common here, which I think is why I get more questions, if I were in Europe, this would be the norm. This would just be the standard. And so I think it's just important to have those other perspectives and to know that a lot of times, not all the time, there are emergencies, like I said, but a lot of times there are other options. It's also really important to me as a Black woman who, if you know about some of the statistics regarding Black women in healthcare and how they are so often overlooked and not heard and not listened to, it was really important to me to have a team of professionals that I knew were really paying attention to me and just listening to what I had to say. If I tell them something doesn't feel right, they don't brush me off. They don't act like I'm overreacting. They really just take the time to know my case and to know me as a person. Like, I'm not just a case to them, and that matters to me. So, and there's a lot of stats, there's a lot of resources that look into for yourself. I would suggest, if you are curious about home birth or it's something that's intriguing to you, I would watch the documentary called The Business of Being Born. It's really insightful, fact-based information about birth and the way that our country tends to treat birth and the way that our healthcare system tends to treat birth, which is as a business a lot of times. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with choosing that route. I just like to be informed, and with all of the information, I have just chosen something different. Okay, I just spent so much time talking about that, but like I said, it's something that I am really passionate about. I'm really excited for. I know at the end of the day, as long as my baby boy comes and he is healthy and doing well, I will be happy. So whether that ends up taking a different route or whether it goes exactly like we imagined, which we all know things in life don't always go the way we imagine, I will just be incredibly grateful. I'm gonna talk a little cravings, feelings, bodily changes, you know, all the nitty gritty of what's been going on all these past few months. I get the question a lot, like, what are your cravings? Is there anything that you used to love and now you hate, or you used to hate and now you love? And let me tell y'all, I have talked about this on Instagram before, but if you are new here or don't follow along on Instagram, I have to tell y'all, the one food that I am now borderline obsessed with, that I have hated my entire life, is eggs. So weird. Like, when I tell you I have not liked eggs my whole life, it doesn't matter. Scrambled, over easy, in an omelet, whatever, I have not liked them. Now, every morning, I wake up and I'm like, scrambled eggs with cheese and Cholula. Every single morning. Like, I could eat it right now, honestly. I actually, before I filmed this, I went to the grocery store. I'm leaving town in a few days, but I went to the grocery store just because I was like, I'm out of eggs and I need them. So that is very weird. I'm like, is my son gonna come out just like loving eggs? Like, where is this coming from? And wondering how I even discovered that I like eggs. I have a husband who eats eggs, and I make eggs for him. Like, I've never had a problem making them for him. And one day I was making him some breakfast and I was just like scrambling up these eggs, and as I was looking at them, I was like, why does this seem like appealing to me right now? And I was like, no. And I took a bite and I was like, are you, like, no way. And I've been hooked on eggs ever since. So that is one craving. I also love a blizzard, love ice cream, popsicles, which probably doesn't seem that weird. But again, before I got pregnant, like one, my body just doesn't tolerate liquid forms of dairy all that well. But two, I've just never been like an ice cream gal. Like I'm much more like brownies, cookies, cheesecake, like that's much more my vibe. But y'all, the way I will tear up a strawberry cheesecake blizzard from Dairy Queen, which thankfully now is like so close to where we live, which is wonderful. Yeah, it's wild. It's just so crazy how your body changes. There's nothing that I would say like I really don't like, although I am a bit iffy with some seafood. Like I can still do salmon. I don't really do shrimp as much. Like I can, but a lot of times like it just doesn't really sound that great to me. So yeah, a little bit iffy on the seafood, but loving eggs, loving ice cream, loving bagels. I was on TikTok recently and I saw this. I feel like this is like a universal pregnancy thing, like the love for a good bagel. I could eat a bagel twice a day. I mean, obviously I don't, but I could. So yeah, those are kind of like cravings that I've had. As far as how I've been feeling emotionally, I feel like the first trimester was wild. I was very much a roller coaster of emotions. If I'm just being honest, bless my husband's heart, because he is a trooper and dealt with it so well. But I would literally just like break out into tears just over like the most random things. Like, I don't know, it was a wild time. And then I got into my second trimester and it was like night and day. Like my emotions were regulated, my fatigue was gone. I honestly, if it weren't for my belly, I barely felt pregnant, which was such a stark difference from the first trimester to the second. But I see now why people say the second trimester is like the golden trimester, because it really was. And then the second that third trimester hit, which was like a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, I don't know, whenever, it was like my energy switched off. Like I have to take a nap in the middle of the day every day. My emotions still feel pretty regulated. Like I don't feel as emotional as I did in the first trimester. I think now I'm starting to feel this intense, just deep love for this baby. It almost hurts. Like it's so hard to verbalize. Now I totally understand when mothers say like, I love this baby so much it hurts. Like I get it. Like I could cry just thinking about it. So maybe my emotions aren't as regulated as I said they were. But no, seriously, it's just like I felt connected to him pretty early on anyway, but now when, you know, feeling him kick and move and just imagining what it's going to be like when he comes into the world, I have this intense desire to protect him, like this fierce desire growing inside of me. And if I feel that now, I can only imagine what it's going to feel like when he's actually here. I'm so excited. At the same time, I also am nervous about certain things. I've been nervous so much, just I guess as someone who likes to do a lot of research and to feel like very well prepared, it's just so hard to feel prepared for something so monumental, like something that I've never gone through before. And so sometimes those emotions definitely get the best of me. I start to feel a little anxious or just like ill-equipped, like how am I gonna know what to do, or you know, what if I can't be everything that he needs? So I've definitely dealt with that. The emotions are natural, but they still come from time to time. I just try as hard as I can not to stay there too long, because ultimately I have been doing my best to have a very peaceful, low stress pregnancy, and I would say for the most part it's working out. So the feelings come, but I try not to sit with those emotions for too long while still allowing myself to feel them. So the emotional journey, and then physically I truly could not be more thankful. Honestly, this pregnancy has been very smooth. There are certain things now that I'm in the 3rd trimester where it's like I'm a little more uncomfortable. It's a little bit harder for me to sleep. I haven't slept through the night since I was like 16 weeks or something, because my bladder is the size of a peanut and I have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night every night. But now I'm starting to get into a little bit more of that uncomfortable phase, which the chiropractor, y'all, if there is one thing, I mean, there's probably many things that I would say have helped my pregnancy, but if there is one thing that has truly helped the physical part of pregnancy, it is my chiropractor. I've had some just lower back pain, things like that, and going to see the chiro is everything. So if that's something that you can incorporate while you're pregnant, or even while you're not, I mean, I was seeing him before I got pregnant, but especially during pregnancy, it's helped so much. But all in all, like, I felt pretty good. I feel like it's been pretty smooth. I was never super sick or anything. There was like 3 weeks where I just felt really nauseous. I wasn't actually getting sick. But it's been a really smooth pregnancy. So I'm just praying that as I'm in this home stretch, that same energy continues. And I'm really praying and believing for a smooth labor and delivery. I'm praying for a peaceful birth. I want there to just be an atmosphere where Holy Spirit is dwelling with us. I want worship music playing, all of this stuff, which to some people who I will say things like this to, and they're like, just wait, you know, we love a just wait person, right? Just wait, you're not gonna get any sleep. Just wait, you think your birth's gonna go like this. And I just don't receive that energy. I really don't. I'm just like, okay, well, I'll wait and you can wait, and I'm just gonna let God do his thing and it's gonna be great. So that has kind of been like my mindset throughout the whole pregnancy, and it's been working out. So I'm excited for the final stretch, and I'm definitely gonna try to take you all along and show you as much of the behind the scenes of that process, if you guys want to see that, as I can, because I just think it's really cool to get the insight to what that actually looks like in action. That is kind of the pregnancy tea, if you will. I'm due September 9th. I'm feeling like he's gonna come about a week late. That's just my feeling. So hold me to it if I'm right. I think he's gonna be born around the 15th or so. So we will see. But I will definitely keep you guys posted. I'm just so looking forward to the second half of this year and everything that it's gonna bring. I also have a bunch of travel coming up. I'm going to California next week for our baby moon and maternity shoot, and then I'll be in Florida the following week for my first baby shower, and then I have another baby shower here in Texas. I'm excited for the travel. I'm also a little nervous. Traveling has been one of those things that definitely takes more of a toll on my body than it used to, so just pray for me, y'all, that everything goes well. But I'm really excited about those trips, and we'll definitely be bringing you guys along. I hope you enjoyed today's video and getting caught up with everything that's going on. I can't wait for everything that is to come and to share it with you guys. As always, you can follow along over on Instagram for a little bit of the day-to-day. And if you aren't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel here. I will see you guys for the next video. And until then, I love you, I'm praying for you, and I'll see you soon. Bye.